Welcome in, everybody. Even as I say that in this little gathering we've got, I'm aware of the fact that it was just 8 months ago that ability and this ability would be impossible to actually have this little conversation in a context like this is pretty remarkable. It's probably a statement of something that goes unsaid, but it really is a mark of progress and gain in a very difficult time for all of us. The headwinds have been strong, but God's stronger, and God's people, because of that, are enduring. So we wanted to just take a few minutes to catch you up on some things that we think matter a lot. I was drawn to words that are actually in the Bible, an expression used in the Bible to kind of describe something of great importance and interest to people. Try these words. We did not want you to be uninformed, brethren. And if you know your Bible, you know 1 Thessalonians 4 is where those words are found. And they were written by the Apostle Paul to some people that had questions, really important questions about the future resurrection for family members and loved ones who loved Jesus but had passed away. So the Apostle Paul begins his wonderful, encouraging response to their questions with, "We do not want you to be uninformed, brethren." So today, that's kind of the spirit that we have in this gathering. We don't want you to be uninformed about some pretty cool things and some pretty important things that are happening right here in our church here at Grace Point. The words you're about to hear will leave you encouraged, I think, greatly. You're probably aware of something that we have done up until this year called halftime. Somewhere around the halfway mark in a calendar year, we have a gathering here at our church, and halftime is where we sort of borrow the term from football, and we kind of size up how things are going. We regroup, make certain sort of tactical changes, and then move forward to the finish line at the end of the year, thus halftime. Well, if you check your watch, we're way past halftime this year. And we thought, well, it's still football season, so let's come up with something new. And we landed on 2-minute warning. It's also something done, the whistle's blown near the end of a football game, and both coaches call their players together, and they put together sort of a final push for finishing the game well and hopefully having a win when it's over. So I want to just start us by giving you my single sentence summary about what you're going to hear from these two brothers. And that is that our church is strong. It really is. And our people, you, are persevering. Here to give a little color commentary, to borrow from football language again, is Luke Jarmer, who's one of our leaders, an overseer in our church, and to my right, Marv Kaw, the treasurer of our church. So I'm going to turn it to you, Luke, and have you ever been called an elder? Like, you're too young to be an elder, but you're an elder right here at Grace Point.
I'm getting there, yeah.
So
well,
talk to us.
Yeah,
man.
thanks, Steve. First and foremost, I really wanted to just recognize our staff here at the church. Doing church during this pandemic has really been a moving target in so many different ways. And, for us, that started off within the first weeks that, the lockdown started. Steve was posting YouTube videos where he would give us his message, and me and my family, we'd be crowded around my little laptop at the dining room table watching Steve on YouTube. And, it was shortly after that we figured out how to get YouTube on our Fire Stick so we could actually watch on our TV and see Steve a little bigger. And it was around that time that we were joining through YouTube, Michael and Krista in their living room, worshiping that way. And then it was shortly after that you were able to start actually doing the videos here in the service, or here in the sanctuary. And I also want to recognize Jamie, who has done so much work on the back end to stitch those together.
That's so true.
And has been so active in that. And if you have an elementary age kid like I do, it's not just in the background. She's front and center in those videos, and there's been some weeks where we've wondered a little bit about her sanity. But they've been so good. They've been just entertaining to watch. My son has enjoyed, still feeling like he's been a part of the children's program through that and all the other things she's done.
That's big.
And then there's been a lot of volunteers that have been involved in helping us implement the new technologies that allowed us to start doing those videos here in the sanctuary. And, I don't even know all the people that have been involved, but I have been told that it's been quite a few that it takes to pull off a video service. So I also wanted to recognize Judy in the office, who has been really influential in just keeping us all in the loop of what's going on through emails. I especially have appreciated, that she figured out how to put the prayer requests in the body of the email instead of in an attachment.
Yep.
Maybe this is bad on me, but I'm just too busy sometimes to open an attachment. So I've been a lot better about going through those prayer requests and praying for people by seeing them right there in the body of the email. So and she's done so many other things besides that, just to let people know what the new sermon series coming out are, and the staff has done a lot. The overseers have continued to work with the staff, and we just have seen how important it is to gather as a group of believers. And so most recently, in the last 2 months now, I believe, we've had the building open so that we can actually meet as a body here. At the same time, the overseers, along with the staff, have really seen the importance of meeting in a safe way. And so we continue to look to the guidance of the Oregon Health Authority, which also is a moving target in so many different ways.
Sure is.
Even just in the last week, there's been new rules that have come out, and we're continuing to look at those. We've remained committed to limiting our gatherings to 50 people per room, and with opening up the second room over in the ministry center, we've had plenty of people to have our social distancing. We've been wearing the masks in the service, and it's just good to be here. I mean, to hear the music live has been great. Huge. At the same time, we've really been sensitive of people that, for either health reasons or other reasons, they need to stay home and watch. So we have the videos online so that you can continue to be a part of our gathering, of our body through YouTube and the other methods we've been using. And that's been so good. So again, just thanking our staff, our volunteers. The second thing I wanted to mention was just the ways that we're continuing to support our body. And that's been through quite a few different methods. That one of the groups I wanted to recognize is the deacons and deaconesses who have remained active just in helping to get our gatherings on the ground, using these safe protocols. And then also I want to recognize just that the youth group's been able to continue meeting, and Pastor Michael has really been influential in finding ways for the youth to stay connected. Life groups have continued to meet, and that's looked a variety of different ways. Some life groups have met via Zoom. Some life groups have been able to meet outside in parks over the summer, and some are meeting in person where they can use social distancing or limit the size of their groups. And then also wanted to recognize the Mission Commission, who has continued to stay active throughout this and staying connected to our missionaries. We think that we're struggling with the pandemic, but when you hear the stories of some of our missionaries and the struggles they're going through because of the pandemic, it kind of makes our struggles actually feel small compared to what you were hearing from some other countries. And then last, I just wanted to recognize the pastoral care that Steve and Michael have both continued, and I really have had to step up in a lot of ways. because there's so many people that are sort of shut in now. And I think there's been more hospital visits and that type of thing, and just helping people stay connected through that pastoral care ministry, I feel, has been really important throughout this pandemic. So, I'm sure there's some other things that I'm missing and maybe not even aware of, but those I felt like were some of the really important things that I wanted to make sure got recognized today in our 2-minute warning. So.
Sure. I would just use the label, maybe, in hearing you say all that, every member a minister. We're all doing it. Some are staff, some are other leaders, volunteers, and it takes all of us to move it forward. So thanks, Luke. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
It's a lot. Marv, it also takes money to move us forward, and you've always had this wonderful ability to make complex things fairly understandable to all of us, and I appreciate that. But before you say a word, congratulations, Grandpa.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Number 5 for you.
Yes, 5, yes.
Wow.
Pleased to welcome, yes, Cohen Marcus, and named after Marcus Mariota for the Oregon Ducks, of course.
Go Beaver. Oh, I'm Ducks. I'm sorry.
Ducks,
It's
yes,
just
we're
my
green.
bad. Tell us what's up financially.
Steve asked me to, kind of update everybody here with respect to the church financials here. And there's a lot of things that we could look at as we discuss the finances, but there's a couple of major metrics that we can look to as kind of a snapshot of the condition of the church. And the first would be giving this year as compared to this time last year, and how does that look? And the second would be, how does our giving look compared to spending? And so the first item there, our giving versus this year versus last year, surprisingly to me anyway, we're only down about 5%. So our giving this year is down 5% from last year. And given everything that's going on in the world today, and the uncertainty of the economy and our future, I think that's just a great position to be in. And I don't have any statistics yet. They're still kind of being prepared by the industry, let's say. So I don't have anything solid to report as to like how other churches are doing, but some churches are not faring so well as we are. And there's a couple of things that I did learn. And to Luke's point, he mentioned, pastoral care, he mentioned community, our life groups, those kinds of things are really instrumental in keeping the body together and involved. Other things that we can do would be also our online giving, and doing that and having that available. Unfortunately, we were able to set that up 2 years ago and work through all the bugs, the first year, and so now we have that in place. And I just did some checking this morning, and our giving electronically has gone up 100% from this time last year. So it was 20% of our giving last year came in electronically. This year it's 40%.
Wow.
So it's just been a great mechanism for folks to continue to support the ministry here. And then the second thing we talked about here, second metric, is how does our giving compare to our spending? And when the pandemic hit, nobody knew what our financial future looked like or the future of ministry, and nobody could have predicted this at all, this current situation that we're in, for sure. But if somebody could, I want to ride their coattail and figure out what they've got planned for us for next year. But it's impossible to have predicted all this. And leadership kind of looked around and said, we need to spend some time first, of course, and foremost in prayer to figure out what we should do going forward. And there were some things about what do we do with staffing, what do we do with mission support, what do we do with things like this sanctuary remodel, refresh that was on the books.
Right.
We put that together and planned for that at the 2020 budget when that was prepared. So what do we do with that? And so leadership kind of took a stance that said, we want to support our staff, and for good reason, because as Luke mentioned, they've all stepped up, they've jumped in, they've thrown away their job descriptions, and they're doing whatever they can do, even as evidenced by this last Sunday when Michael's in the AV booth rather than down in the ministry center, doing those kinds of work. I'm sorry, in the youth center. That's one thing that we've had to do, is we've maintained a commitment to our staff. The other thing we wanted to do was do the same thing with our missions, our missionary support and mission organizational support. So those two items make up about 75% of our budget. And so to maintain those means we don't have that much discretion or room for alterations to our financial situation with the rest of the ministry efforts and operations and things like insurance and utilities and copier expenses, all those kinds of things that come up. Communications is a big one right now, doing everything online, video streaming. It takes tremendous resources to do that. And so, those are all things that came into play. The other thing that's important is, we decided, leadership decided, what do we do with the sanctuary remodel? Do we put a pause in that? Do we just delay it? What do we do with that? And the decision was, well, we believe we're going to meet again as a body, and let's take the opportunity to have some downtime in the facility here to make the improvements with less interruptions. So that's what was done, and if you've been here, it's a great improvement, or it's a great refresh. I want to thank Vicki and Jamie and Krista for all their work on the design and their team, and then Jim Wilson and his group, excuse me, his group for a group of guys, a group of men and other women to help with the actual execution of this, and it's a great transformation. And that Jim saved us every penny that he could wherever he could, so it was done in a cost-effective way. So I say all that to say that our giving is below spending just a little bit. It's about $15,000 year to date, so it's not a huge number, but it isn't whole, but it's not a bad spot to be in, given everything else that we're dealing with. But I would ask, as we approach the 2-minute warning here, that looking towards the end of the year, that each one of us prayerfully consider what we might do to give to the church financially, to kind of finish the year strong, and leave us in the black as we go into 2021, whatever that looks like, at this point.
I know you're smiling right now to hear these guys. We didn't rehearse this. It was just, let's come and talk to our people about what we see happening, and you're hearing it straight up, and it's wonderful. I mean, I'm just sitting here going, this is cool. There's solid, it's sincere, and there's substance here. There really is. And I kind of take away from that, Marv, that we need to let's finish the year and the pandemic well,
Certainly, yes.
And we can. I just quickly morphed, we did as a family, to a all online giving family. The texting couldn't be easier. And so anyway, those things, and only God could have known that 2 years ago when we said, well, let's try this online giving. Maybe it'll add convenience and be simple and that sort of thing. And we had no idea, of course, this year would be what it is. But so to help us finish the year and the pandemic well, let me just leave you with a couple of quick thoughts. The first, and you would expect this maybe from the coach, put Jesus first. Put Jesus first. Seek him every day. Spend time with him in every way you can. Turn on some, Spotify Christian music and just drink up Jesus. Read your Bible. And pray. Talk to him often. Express your struggles. That's sustaining me. That's going to keep us going. So seek Jesus first and keep praying for each other. You have friends that are part of Grace Point and beyond. You see a couple, 3 of us that need prayer, all right? So there's lots of people to pray for and keep that up. And I want to encourage you also to continue caring for others. Maybe send a note, send an email, a text. Hey, I was just thinking about you today and wanted you to know I brought you before Jesus. I don't know what's going on necessarily, but I'm praying for you. Then here's another one, outreach. You and I, because we're connected to Jesus and this community, we have a decided edge and advantage in a hurricane like a pandemic. We just do. But there's a lot of people around us where we live and work and everywhere else that don't. And they are sucking fumes, and it's a hard time. So be outreach focused. And then final word for me, keep enduring. These words express my heart that I want to leave you from God's word. They express my heart for myself and for my family and for every one of you who are with us in this 2-minute warning. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, it's the words from Hebrews chapter 12 that look back on chapter 11 and the wonderful stories of faithful men and women. Therefore, since we have so many faithful witnesses that surround us, let us lay aside every encumbrance, and there's plenty of those this year, and every sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Get this, fixing our eyes on Jesus, who is the author and the perfecter of our faith. And listen to this, who, speaking of Jesus, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross, despising its shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Are those great words to finish a 2-minute warning? Let's finish well, focused on Jesus. And I want to leave you with words that I received this last week, my birthday week, from my daughter in Hawaii. She said, "Ahoy ho, ahoy ho." And I'm tempted to tell you what they mean, but I think I'll let you just look it up. So, ahoy ho. God bless you all, and we love you.